we're going to jump into the theme, which is very interesting. It's it's presented as, well, first of all, the monthly theme is curiosity as a superpower. I know you've never heard that before. So it's so interesting. Like, how can I use curiosity as a superpower in my life? And one of the things we get to do is examine our lives and how we use our lives in ways to enhance our experiences and those of others. So being curious, being able to look within, being able to look within without being able to take a look at, I know for me, I'll say, at my thoughts, my beliefs, and therefore my actions. Uh, what where does it all come from? I'm not. I'm going to save the whys for later. Why? Who knows? There could be a million answers, and that can change. They fluctuate. The why. Our whys maybe aren't necessarily grounded in truth, or if they are, they could be very temporary. However, the what, like what is it? Where? Sometimes how. But today's topic is what lies beneath the surface. Now, I added something. I added what truth lies beneath the surface. So there's a little play on that, if you can catch that. Uh, and, and I'm talking about truth because even if there is a lie that we might be living that seems above the surface, every lie has some truth as a foundation. You got to start from somewhere, and it usually starts from some aspect of truth, and then we twist the truth and all that, and becomes a lie because it's not really uh, built. It's built on the truth, but it's not strengthened uh, by the truth. It's strengthened by fear, and so there is the truth that's behind everything, and we know that. However, um, even if we take it for face value, what lies beneath the surface? And usually, that's what we need to look at when we want to make have a more effective and efficient and more powerful life. We use curiosity to look underneath, and so that's what we're talking about today. And so basically, it says curiosity is one of the most basic cause of life, and it's claimed to be a superpower. As we move through the month, we're going to look and see how the gift of curiosity reveals to us what we need to know. There's wonder in it, heightened awareness from curiosity. And so, what we're going to do is look first to see what we don't usually look at, to see the unseen. It's kind of like the computer programming, the subroutines, what's going on underneath, behind the screen. Uh, and we're going to dive into a lot of that and see what comes up, see what becomes revealed. And so today we're going to dive in, and most of the time, to have to peek into the unknown, sometimes you encounter what? We encounter fear of the unknown. And then that will reveal what's next, the wonder of it all, and see what gifts may be in store. So, so Tom, uh, what comes up for you about looking within, about looking underneath?
Well, the first thing that popped into my mind, and just about always pops into my mind when I hear this, what lies beneath, what truth lies beneath, is the image of an iceberg. And
Mm.
I have a minister friend who is from Newfoundland, and she lives right on the ocean. Her little city is right on the ocean, and periodically she'll post on Facebook a picture of an iceberg as it floats by, because it's a deep water port, as it floats by her little town, and you get to see the image of the houses there and this huge iceberg behind them. and you think how magnificent it is. And then I always remember that science has proven that when ice floats like that you're only seeing 10% of it above the water, and there's 90% below the water. And we think, oh, well, it's just ice.
Mm,
It's actually energy, and it's moving just slower. So underneath that 90% that's underneath the surface is actually living energy.
mm,
There's all kinds of life there going on, and we don't see it because we're looking at that 10% above. And so I think of this and I'm going, wow. And when we're curious, what do? We ask questions.
mhm,
Uh, Tony Robbins is a well known person who's been characterized as a self help guru, but he also teaches a lot of the same teaching, the science of mind teachings in his work. And one of the things he says is the way you learn is you ask questions. And everything is asking a question takes you to greater learning. It helps you see beneath things. And we're curious, we humans are curious by nature. And almost all of us have had the experience of when we were very, very small,
mm.
probably toddlers. Someone said to us, don't touch that stove, it's hot, or don't touch that radiator, it's hot. And we're curious, we're going, are they telling me the truth? And so what did we do? We touched it. And we burned our fingers and we went, cried and everything. But what it did was it gave credibility to that person who said it, because now we know that they're probably telling us the truth. And we got a really good feeling of what hot is, but we know below the surface, we actually know now. We have understanding what hot is. And that's how we've grown through life, is looking under the surface of things. 2 plus 2 is 4. How? As soon as we ask that question, we're going to learn more. So it's just the nature of who we are. But the beauty of it is, it can be your superpower.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you for sharing, and I love that analogy of what lies below, especially with an iceberg, because there is so much that we don't know, and it is wondrous. I mean, what I've seen on TV and in movies is an incredible world thriving underneath an iceberg. I mean, the colors, the life, teeming with other life. I mean, there's things going on. There's a whole communities of if it's not fish, there are little microscopic things, or that the fish probably eat, and the whole chain of life that goes on underneath an iceberg. Uh, and so if I when I make an analogy to my life, so much more that goes on beneath what I'm projecting into the world as my life. You see all of this stuff that comes together to present who I show myself to be. Like, wow, uh, it could take a lifetime to
Well, it
to
really, it really could. Pardon me, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
I know.
okay. Um, I think back to our very first core concept, which is God is all there is,
Mhm.
and we teach use the metaphor of the ocean, that one drop is still part of the ocean, but it's not the whole ocean. And we use that metaphor to say that we are individualized expressions of God, but that we're all one. And there's a very interesting quote by William James that goes, we are like islands in the sea, separate on the surface, but connected in the deep. And in truth, that's that is what we mean by oneness. We walk around as individualized expressions of God, but we are connected under the surface to every other individual, to all of nature around us, to all creation. And it's learning to see and appreciate that connection, knowing that It's true. We are one with God and we're one with each other. Whether I like what you're saying or doing or not doesn't stop us from being one. And that is the truth of who we are. And we have to look beneath that surface to be able to see it.
That's powerful. Thank you for sharing that quote. Um, and really, I think the greatest lesson that we can ever give or share and receive is that we're all one, that we're
Mhm.
all connected, and to also understand that what's below, that what's beneath, it's there's not going to be anything that is unique, to me than from you or anybody else. We all have some of the same stuff. I mean, it
Mhm.
comes to us through different experiences, but there's no feelings or emotions that have yet to be invented or created. They're all out there, for us. So, um, many times, what comes up is the fear of not so much the unknown, but how the unknown is going to affect us.
Yes.
So how am I going to react? And I may not even complete that sentence. I mean, it's like the fear can just stop me from wanting to take a look, from wanting to feel secure enough. And there's a quote that comes up. It says, "Fear rises from that mental attitude which limits the possibility and the willingness of spirit to give us the good we so greatly desire." And that's from Dr. Ernest Holmes, Science of Mind, page 404, Science of Mind text. And the fear, it's like underneath the iceberg, there is like a universe of good for for so much. And it's like within me, if I'm only willing to look at just a little bit, I'd be able to have a greater experience of who I am and how I can bring myself and present myself to the world. And that fear is so incredible because it it it, it says it's a mental attitude. How it affects, I think it affects the mental attitude. And the mental attitude is lack of faith. It's like there's a belief somehow that the good that I desire is not going to happen, and because of that, fear can creep right in. Fear can just step in and like, yeah, that's right, it's not for you, and I'll give you a million reasons why, and they'll all turn out to be true because I'll put more of my time and mental capacities into that which I believe is not going to work for me than have the faith that will work for me, or the faith that it's not going to work, which is another use of faith, which unfortunately a lot of people get to prove as well. Like, well, I told you it wasn't going to work. Well, they were faithful about that fear. They put more faith into the fear than they do into faith itself of a positive income and outcome.
Let me, I'll give you, jump ahead a little bit, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a testimony, and it's going to be about giving that we'll do later.
All right.
Um, when I retired about 5 years earlier than I had originally planned to retire. And the reason I retired early was somebody had offered me this wonderful opportunity, and they said the only problem is, we're waiting for some funding, but we really want you to be part of this adventure. And so my wife and I had about 6 months or so worth of living expenses and savings, and we said, all right, let's go ahead and do it. So I retired. And I said, and she said, well, what are we going to do if 6 months passes and this funding doesn't come through? I said, well, I'll go find a job somewhere else. And guess what?
Mm.
The 6 months passed. But what happened in the meantime was I was becoming a practitioner and thinking about going to ministerial school. And the minister that was teaching my practitioner class said, you really need to start tithing because that's testing your faith in God. And I thought, how am I going to tithe when I'm sitting here looking at what if this great opportunity doesn't fund? But I said, all right, fine, we'll do it. And I started tithing, and I gave 10% every month to the center. And the 6 months passed, and this opportunity never realized. I finished practitioner training, continued to tithe, continued to give, went to ministerial school, paid for that, continued to give. It's been 11 years. That opportunity never ever funded. And today I'm a minister and I have my own ministry, and we never missed a meal. We never missed a bill payment. I don't know where the money came from, but I know that the universe didn't lie when it said, if you'll trust me and give, I'll give it back to you greater and more than you can possibly imagine. It works, but I had to step past that fear that Reverend Rod is talking about. And if you don't step past that fear, you don't get that benefit down the road. Uh, so I'm a great believer that we walk past this fear, and then more truth is known to us. And by the way, I do continue to tithe every single month.
That's great. Thank you for that. It's so interesting, Tom. I did something very similar. A friend of mine one created an awesome sounding startup, and I was going to be one of the top executives, and everything was planned. And on the day it was supposed to burst into being, he was nowhere to be found. There was a bunch of us standing in the office, and he wasn't there. We could not start, and it never opened. And like yourself, I had to have faith because I had retired from my job. Um, Things worked out, however. I retired early. However, I was able to get a pension. I was able to get some other funds, and I did as well uh, tithe. Uh, I would say in the beginning it was in spite of the fear, but that quickly turned
Yes.
into faith. I was like, you know what? I don't know. I'm going to do it anyway. This is what they told me to do. I'm going to follow direction. I'm going to trust in this invisible law,
Yes.
in this law that says, as I give, so shall I receive, and I received so much more
It
than,
works.
yeah, it works. That's it. And like you said, it's like, don't know how. Um, it was so much that goes on beyond our capabilities besides using our word, speaking what it is that we desire, and allowing
Mhm.
for the energy of the universe of our lives to bring it all into fruition. And that's the power of faith. And it says here, faith is a place of mystery. It's like if we had all the answers, would we need faith? You know, Faith is a place of mystery where we find a courage. We got curiosity and courage to believe in what we cannot see, and the strength to let go of our fear of uncertainty. Brene Brown, Gifts of Imperfection. I think that's so wonderful because in
Absolutely.
curiosity, it does take courage to move past the fear. It doesn't take a lot. You don't need a lot of faith. You don't need a lot of courage. Just enough to look and then dive in a little deeper to see what's available. So thank you, Tom, for sharing that. That's really powerful. Yeah. Um, and so then we want to also, when we are diving, we have to make sure, like diving into water. We can hold our breath and dive, but deep divers, they got the whole suit, they got the tanks, they got they got all of that. They are infusing themselves with oxygen. They need
Mhm.
it. We have to increase our ability to look and to see and to understand what's going on around us as we dive deep, to be able to explore and increase our ability and not be limited by by lack of oxygen, or lack of knowledge. So when we dive deep, there's going to be plenty that we don't understand. So diving deep means, you know what? We have to be open minded and willing to
Yes.
dynamic principles. Open minded and willing. And sometimes we need to be willing to be open minded, but we need to be open to explore maybe some things we don't want to take a look at, because it's dark. Okay. We need some light on the subject, and the light may not, it's just not going to come from us, because we can only see but so far with our limited abilities. So yeah, we talk about reading more, reading on the subject, reading spiritual content,
Mhm.
or watching a video, or being around people with that same higher spiritual mindset. Because if we, what's that saying? If we did what we always did, we get what we always got.
Yeah.
And we can't look very far. We can't go further with what we already did and what we already got. We need to go deeper than that.
Well, I really, really appreciate Science of Mind magazine and their daily guides. And
Mm,
this month, a real bright star has written the daily guides, Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson uh, from the Baltimore area. And yesterday, it just happened to say this when we needed it for this talk. He said, curiosity calls us to ask how we apply this teaching to the various ills in our life and in the world today. And I thought, that's really what this whole thing about curiosity is. We say things all the time. We say God is all there is, or that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And do we ever ask, what does that mean? So that I
mm,
know how to apply it in what I'm doing. And I work in the area, and Reverend Rod, you know this. I work in the area of recovery, spiritual recovery. And as you're working with people in recovery, they want it boiled down into simple and applicable. I've got to be able to apply it in my life, or I'm moving on from you to someone else to lead us. And we say these things, and we need to look deeper and explain, what does it mean to say God is all there is? And I talked a little bit about that in my opening treatment, where I said, we're created out of the substance of God. And if God is spirit, then we are spirit. And that's what it means by we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Every one of us. And we carry that with you. If I met you, I would go up to you and say, hi, I'm Tom. Who are you? And you're probably going to say, this is my name, or maybe even tell me what you do for a living.
mhm.
But if you're being absolutely truthful, if you've looked into these things and gone below that surface that we were talking about and gone a little deeper, if I say to you, hi, I'm Tom, who are you? I would expect you to say to me, hi, I'm spirit, for that's who you really are. And every thought, every word, every action that you have in every now moment throughout the day, you are spirit expressing into the world. And that's how you change the world, and we make a world that works for everyone.
Thank you, Tom. That is beautiful and true. And thank you for breaking that down, because yeah, a lot of people like to get their truth uh, uh, in a way that's easily digestible. I'll put it
Mhm.
that way. Without having to figure it out themselves, and that's kind of what we're here for as well. Uh,
Yeah.
it's we want to get past cliches uh, and jargon, and just like, hey, yes, we are all one. What does that mean? God is all there is. All of that, uh, true as it is, or maybe true as it is. Many times, it's too simple in a sense. Uh, for people who are generally tend to complicate their lives. It's like, yeah, we have to break it down even more. And there's a quote that it seems so simple to me. It says, "When we've been walking in the surf, holding our robes up, when we should be naked, diving under, deeper under," by Rumi. And I love that quote because so many times we're worried about the cover. We're worried about what's covering us up, and thinking, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, and I can't let anything happen to my covering. And really, all of that wonderful time walking in the surf, walking on the planet, walking in our lives, like you said, if I can answer somebody who I really am and drop the cover, drop the mask, drop the facade, uh, and even I wouldn't even answer. I'm a reverend. No, that's not who I am. That's what I do. In a sense, I am. It's however, the true nature of who I am and what I am is the same for each and every one. That we are of the one. That we are God in expression. We are the creations of the divine, creations of God, as is everything that walks the planet. So, what do you think? Anything about that quote?
I like that idea of going under. I like to skinny dip, so the idea of dropping my robe and going naked and going under really appeals to me. But it reminds me also that that Ernest Holmes quote, the first step in overcoming any fear is to concede that God is for us. And we don't tend to remember that in our daily lives. Uh, we have this wonderful, loving creator that created all of us.
Hmm.
And this creator God desires only good for its creation.
Hmm.
But we don't have to accept the good. We don't have to realize it. We don't have to welcome it. It's there. And it's there in infinite amount. No matter how much good I take into my life, it doesn't deplete the supply for everyone else.
Hmm.
And so part of my personal power, and that's beautiful from the global vision, where we envision a world where each and every person discovers their own personal power. Part of my personal power is I get to choose my thoughts. And when I choose my thoughts, then what I am doing is I am saying these thoughts are the cause in my life. The law is the law that applies to everybody, and it always answers yes. So that I'm taking my thoughts, putting them into the law, and it's saying, yes, whatever you're thinking, that's what's going to be. And it's creating the effects in my life. So whatever I sow is going to come back to me. I could say, it's a really bad day. I'm broke. All these things are going on. It just sucks. And
Hmm.
guess what? The universe is sitting there going, yes, you're right. Oh my goodness, you're right on, Tom. And everything then sucks in my life. Or I can go, it's a great day. It's a beautiful day. Whether the sun is shining or not, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to meet wonderful people today. We're going to have great interaction. There will be plenty all around me this day. And guess what? The universe says yes just as fast. So I love that idea of going deeper, going under, trusting the universe, and realizing that the seeds I sow, the thoughts that I sow, are going to come back to me. That's the law of circulation, and it happens all the time. What goes around comes around.
That's right.
And I want to make sure that that good that is God is coming to me. So as I take my good, I open my arms, I welcome it, I embrace the good of God to me, but I don't hold on to it and hide it. I share it.
Mm-hmm.
and then it expands and multiplies and it comes back to me from the universe, maybe in all kinds of different forms. But it's just the beauty of life. And
That's
it comes
beautiful.
from looking under.
That's it. Beautiful. Thank you. And the thing is, not to fear
Absolutely.
what's underneath, because whatever that mental attitude is, whatever that thought, that belief, um, I learned in my recovery, in moving into a spiritual recovery, not to trust my thinking, especially the thinking that had prevailed so many years before I decided to make a choice to make a change. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you again for that reminder that we do have that our superpower is choice. And so I choose to use sponsorship. I choose to talk to my colleagues. I choose to do more study and not trust just alone what I think, because in so many of the rooms, there's a sign that's upside down. It's a think sign, and it's upside down. That many times our thinking is up. Our thinking, our mental attitude is upside down. It can't be trusted, and there's plenty of reason. I fear that. It's a healthy fear. I tell you the truth. If I think I'm making so many great decisions in a row, that's something for me to question. I got to be curious about that, and I got to lift the cover off of that, and like, okay, let me look beneath there and see what's going on. Is it just my need to feel like I'm right all the time, and therefore I'm not going to take a look? No, I need to take a look. I need to know, like, just wait a minute, what is my motivational factor in all of this? What is moving me in my thoughts, beliefs, and actions? And it takes courage to do that. And there's great reward. And I have to tell everybody, there's great reward from looking within, even if it scares you. Now, just because it scares me, I don't have to have fear. You know, I can be afraid in that moment. And I really truly believe that only when we entertain that fear do we somehow give it power. And more so taking power away from our true nature by not using it properly. I think that's what gets in the way of us achieving that which we truly desire. Um, there's another quote I wanted to bring up. Um, Here it is. Oh, is that it? Yeah. We can learn to meet whatever crisis with curiosity. I mean, whatever arises with curiosity, and not make it such a big deal. It's, you know, hold on to my power instead of struggling against the force of confusion. We could meet it and relax, and that means we're not operating out of fear or confusion. That's by P. Chadron. When things fall apart, trust, have faith, relax.
Yeah,
Mm.
it reminds me of the children's book Through the Looking Glass, where Alice was in Wonderland and uh, she goes before the Queen of Hearts and says that something is impossible. And the Queen says to her, well, I do at least 6 impossible things before breakfast every day. It's having that courage to not judge something as impossible, not yield to your fear, where courage is acknowledging your fear, but stepping forward.
Absolutely true. Awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And there's one more quote I want to bring up. It says, to openness, curiosity, and reverence, there's an instant freshness of perception,
Mhm.
a desire to approach and affiliate. To feel wonder in the face of beauty is to be grandly astonished.
Yeah.
David Brooks. And that's part of the reward. That's like dare yourself to look within, to look below, to look beneath. Challenge yourself to do so, and get to see the beauty of it all. An iceberg looks really astounding on the top, but underneath, it's a wondrous world of color and vibrancy and and immenseness, and it is astonishing. It's like, it's like going to the Grand Canyon. It's astonishing. You know, you're filled with awe, and you can we listen. I was fearful of falling over the edge of the Grand Canyon. You know, but I overcame that fear and just stood in the midst of all that beauty. I had a choice. You know, I had a choice to be fearful. You know, from a mindset of doubt, but with the proper knowledge, like don't stand so close to the edge. I could enjoy the beauty of it all. And life oftentimes is simple like that. Yeah. So um, there's some questions that I put into the comments, and I'm going to bring up one or two of them in the remaining time that we have. And we kind of covered this one. What's holding me back from looking within? And I think we kind of covered that with fear.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
And it might be different for other people, but generally, fear. Now, the thing to know about fear is that it wears a different mask. It may not seem like fear, it might seem like a really good reason. uh, but we have to even look beneath that to see that it is fear that keeps us from looking even further. So we have a whole lot of structures set up built on fear to keep us from looking within. And all of those structures, all of those ideas, all of those thoughts only there to protect the fear. And that's put in place by the ego. You know, the ego is I'm not gonna say ego is holding me back, no, but the ego can work with me moving forward. But if left unchecked, the ego will put things in place to empower it. So we don't have to trust spirit. We get to trust ego, which the acronym is EGO, easing God out. And so then we won't know the depths of our fear, and it will be deep until we can get the practice of peeling back the layers. I know sometimes when I'm in bed, I'm under the covers. It's like I just want to stay where it's nice and warm, you know, and there's not a chance of anything so-called bad happening while I'm under the covers. But I have to pull back the cover. I have to come from within. I have to come from below and be able to put into effect that which I know is going to be for my greater good. As a matter of fact, while I'm in that dark place, that's where I do my prayers. I start my day first and foremost with God on my mind.
Mhm.
Okay, God, you know, I just pray for sometimes every step of the way, including my right and perfect divine parking space. You know, do that before I come out from under the covers. And so let's see. Um, hmm, let's go with this one. Are you curious and love it?
I think that's a good question. How I honor my curiosity is no matter what occurs, and even things that I don't particularly care for, I ask a question, and the question I always ask myself is, what is the universe teaching me?
Mm-hmm.
Because I truly believe that everything happens for a purpose to teach me something. And so I ask the universe, what are you trying to teach me here? And it gives a different attitude. I don't have to use nearly as many curse words as I used to use when I would be shouting at somebody about you so and so, you did this, that, or the other. I just ask, what is the universe teaching me here? And the universe will give you an answer. It just does. Uh, I've never had it not happen where I didn't get some guidance from the universe right back. So, am I curious and love it? Absolutely. I want to know. I want to understand. And I want to understand how I'm to exist in this universe. So I use a lot of curiosity every single day, and it makes a very full and very enjoyable life.
Absolutely. Thank you. And for myself, I know that, and it goes back to that superpower part.
Hmm.
However, I know that when I allow myself or dare myself to be curious, that there is some good that's going to follow. And we
Yes.
just have to ask the right question. Um, it's, I'm curious. How are you feeling today? And we can explore that. We can dive down into that and not just accept, okay, I'm good. I'm curious. Why is it that you feel so good? We can explore it deeper, and we make a deeper connection. No, take that back. We explore our deeper connection because we're always connected, and so moving below this from the surface deeper into who and what we are, because especially when we're dealing with one another, most of the time we can engage somebody in their favorite subject themselves. and
Hmm.
and I get curious about you and how what's going on in your life. That energy just builds, and that's the energy of love that we can feel, that's expanding, and in the sharing of it all, even if we're kind of fearful of what the other person might think. We can move past that instantly, and yeah, we can call it courage, but it's that curiosity that begins to make a difference. I think being curious allows us to not be afraid of one another. It could probably end wars by not being by being curious enough. Like, oh, I'm wondering, do you actually have enough water? Do you have enough room? Do you have enough of what you need? Instead of the fear thought, which is that person might want from me, that they might take from me, they might have what I want or have. And I think if we're curious enough to go within to ourselves enough to trust
Hmm.
and to share that curiosity with another, I think we can see how we are connected in ways that we can share our love and our appreciation for one another, and regardless of religion, regardless of language, regardless of anything that might seem to get in the way. Yeah. So at this point, we're going to go into our affirmations, and um, I'm going to read the first one. So I invite you all to join us in these affirmations that are most certainly going to have us be able to look deeper at our own superpower and our own curiosity. So I invite you all to feel comfortable right where you are. If you want to close your eyes, that's okay, and just listen to the voice, or you can read the affirmation as I put it on the screen. And just take in a breath and recite. It says, I know that spirit is for me, so I dive with confidence into the unknown. Let's take another breath and say that again. I know that spirit
The
is for
spirit is
me,
for me.
so I dive
I with
with
confidence into the
confidence
unknown.
into the unknown. Yes. And Reverend Tom, would you read the next one?
Sure. Let's take a deep breath and let it out and say, I use curiosity to connect with my superpower. Let's do it again. A deep breath. I use curiosity to connect with my superpower.
Thank you. And the third one, take a breath And release. I can dance underwater and not get wet. Let's take in another breath. Taking another breath. I can dance underwater and not get wet. And so it is, and now it is. Ah, and I do apologize for not bringing that up earlier. Imagine diving deep, dancing underwater, and not being affected by what you see around you. That's dancing underwater and not getting wet.
Mhm.
That's like knowing that right where you are perfectly fine, whole, perfect, and complete. And so, with that, I'm going to invite you right back in a moment, Tom. I'm going to go
Okay.
into the spiritual mind treatment. And so, we'll be back for our final remarks and everything. So, stick around, Tom. Thank you. And so, knowing that, yes, we can dance underwater and not get wet, we can dance in the allness of the universe. And I invite you all to go within for this spiritual mind treatment. Hmm. Knowing that all there is one big ocean of life in which everything is included. You can call it the universe. Knowing that there's only one life. However, that life shows up, there's only one, individualized for sure, that the creator has individualized itself into all different form, the dry and the wet, the air, and all of the substance of the universe is all present. And I know that each and every one of us gets to look below, to look beyond, to look under, to look in, deep within, to see the very truth that lies beneath. And the truth never lies. The truth is always the same, yesterday, today, and forever. And the truth is that God is all there is. That God is all there is in all of the different aspects of our lives. That when it comes to the finances that Reverend Tom talked about, that all that is available for each and every one, that doesn't take from anyone, that the universe is giving of itself in never ending fashion, that there is an abundance of all that is necessary for life to be fulfilling for each and every one of us in the form of whatever it is that we need at the time. And that includes money. That includes the ability to say yes to the desire, to say yes to all that makes life worth living. I say yes to bank accounts and pocketbooks and pockets and everything that is necessary for each and every one to achieve their purpose on the planet. That every goal and every mission that has a dollar amount attached to it, that it is met, that it is fulfilled, that all is fulfilled to overflowing. And that is the nature of the universe, to give of itself. And so I bless each and every one that is experiencing anything less than stellar health, knowing that wealth is the order of the day, that looking below the situation or the circumstance is perfect, vibrant health. That each one says yes to every cell operating at peak efficiency. I am saying yes to all that is good, all that is operating perfectly. I am knowing as well that right and perfect relationships are the order of the day. That each one says yes to love expressing itself, the love that is beneath the surface of any and all relationships. And I am knowing that this is the truth for each and every one. That each and every one says yes to harmonious relations. There's only one relation, and that is a relationship that the divine has with itself. all of its creations. And it's all love underneath it all. So I give thanks for knowing that this truth is already manifesting for each and every one by the perfect action of the law, bringing it all to manifestation, all to fruition. So I allow it to be the good that is unfolding to be right here, right now. And now it is. Peace and blessings, beloved. I'm going to bring Reverend Tom back to assist me, to assist us, and invite him to please lead us in our abundance consciousness. I'll put it up on the screen for you, Tom.
I don't see anything. Oh, there it is. Okay, I was going to say I know I saw it before, but it disappeared. Now it's back. And we are grateful for your donations to One Love via PayPal at onelovecenter.org or Cash Me app $1LoveCSL. You can also support One Love Center through Smile at Amazon.com /One Love Center -teaching chapter. And your donations keep this ministry afloat. It keeps it going. It keeps us able to reach out every week and touch lives. And we thank you so much for supporting One Love Center. Blessings to you.
Thank you, Tom. And so at this time, we'd like to invite everyone to prepare for their giving. And we have the affirmation of abundance. And as you can see on the screen, and those of you who remember, please feel free, as Ellen always reminds us, to just put your hand over your heart and feel that vibrant energy from your heartbeat and allow that energy of your heart to empower your thoughts of giving and your actual giving. And you can even maybe put that money there or your bank card or your check or whatever it is and just feel and know that it's all energy. And it's all corresponding to that thought, that love thought of giving. And here we go. Affirmation of abundance. Money, as one of the many gifts of
Many
spirit,
gifts
is
of
good.
spirit is good.
As I share
As
my
I share
offering,
my offerings,
I know that
I
I
know
am actively creating a
actively create
space
space to
to
receive
receive
more
more
gifts,
gift, more money, and more good.
more good.
And I am
So it
grateful
is.
for the ability to give and for the good works due in our center and in our world. And now it is.
Now it is.
Thank you. Thank you. And so um, we have, um, let me see, I'm looking for, I do want to thank Ellen for participating. She's uh, way back there. And she agrees, yeah, diving deeper into the ocean, not getting wet. Wow, yeah, she got that one. And to all others who have most certainly been attending, I'm not able to see who that is right now, but I am handling all this by myself. So one thing I will say, I was looking for the announcements, which I have not found as yet. However, we could use somebody to help assist in our broadcast. And that would be of great service. Could have me a little bit distracted. Having to orchestrate things from behind as well. Um, so coming up, we have our Centers for Spiritual Living, our global organization. We're having another convention, Vista 2023, Evolutionary Love for Today's World, coming up February 20th to the 23rd. It's primarily online. There are locations that you can pop into. You have to go to the website to csl.org and for more information. As I mentioned before, we could certainly use someone to assist with the technical assistance. Contact us through our email, oneLove@onelovecenter.org. Or you can call 844-295-5155. Bless you and thank you. Also coming up is a retreat. Oops. Hold on. Let me go back up a minute. There we go. Ellen Suazo, practitioner, is planning a retreat with Reverend Angela Harmon, who you've seen here as well. And looking to present a powerful, powerful retreat, March 16th to the 21st. Please check it out. And we certainly could use your involvement to make it happen. And let us pray that that does. So check it out, look into it, tell a friend. Also, this summer, there is a retreat, CSL retreat called SOAR at Asilomar. Summer retreat, August 8th. So there's plenty of time to prepare for that as well. And for those of you so inclined, there is a Parliament of World Religions. Whoops. Let me get rid of that one. Here we go. Parliament of World Religions. Uh-oh. Yeah. See, I'm stuck doing this by myself here. All right. Let's take that off. Okay. Fresh start. Oh, this is a ticker. Parliament of World Religions. Monday, August 14th, where so many of the world religions meet and have a really high spiritual consciousness of bringing peace to each and every one. Peace and love and joy. It's just awesome. It's going to be in Chicago, and if you want to attend, it's pretty pricey now, but I still have a couple of discount tickets available for your registration. August 14th. All righty. So at this point, any closing remarks you want to make, Reverend Tom?
No, nothing. There's just so much going on that's there to feed us that you don't have to partake of all of it, but do look into doing some of it, because it will feed you and get you ready to go out and look deeper into the world and step forward with courage.
Absolutely. And I couldn't have said it better. And so we're going to move into our closing prayer, our benediction. We had a good word to send you forth. And we thank all those who have been watching live, all those who are watching the recording. You're welcome. Thank you so much for being with us. And spread the word. Share the video. And there's more to come. I just remembered that, and I apologize. I actually had to switch computers, so I don't quite have it together to do this. Each day for the season for nonviolence is a reading from either from many of the spiritual leaders, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. It's brought to you by Association for Global New Thought, AGNT, and you can find it on YouTube through One Love Center for Spiritual Living. And each day there are two readings from Season for Nonviolence, 64 days, ideas and thoughts to practice for nonviolence, for maintaining nonviolence, creating, maintaining, and spreading nonviolent attitude, spiritual attitude. And so we're going to go into our closing prayer, and there'll be a song to follow. So, uh, knowing that right where I am, God is, the very presence of the divine that has spoken so masterfully today, that has offered the perfect words, the perfect ideas, all that has transpired, which is part of our spiritual food that moves us into a greater sense of curiosity, courage, and faith to move forward and look below the surface of our own lives, of our own thinking, so that we can see that which can empower us in an even greater way. We can uncover the fear and move into a stronger sense of being who we are. Because we know that in God there is no fear. We know that in God there is only itself. And so there's nothing to be afraid of. And so we know that it might look scary because it's unknown. But I know that as we move forward step by step, the ground is there to meet us, that we are grounded even when we look below the surface. And I pass my word to Tom.
And I know as we are grounded, we step forward with the assurance that we are never alone, that Spirit is always present, always residing in us and expressing as us. And so I trust that truth, knowing that I step nowhere outside of the power and the range and the love of Spirit in any moment.
Yes.
I know that I go to areas and step forward into areas that have never been trod on before. And rather than following an old path, I step into this new area and I create a path for others to follow. And that is part of the trusting and courage. For I trust that Spirit never lets me walk where I'm not intended to go and where I don't need to go. And having courage is having the faith that I'd never walk alone. And I'm grateful for this knowing. I'm grateful for knowing that we never walk alone.
Mm-hmm.
We always walk with the love of the divine right there in us. And I know this is true. And I'm grateful that this word is fulfilled. It's already fulfilled in the mind of God. And so I release this word into the law, knowing that the universe always answers yes,
Yes.
knowing that it is perfect, knowing that it is good and very good, knowing that it's true, and having total faith and confidence that God not only is, but that God is who it says it is, and it is in me and as me right now. And so, with absolute faith in this truth, absolute trust in the law that always answers yes,
Yes.
I join with the universe and ask you to join with the universe and me in affirming that truth by saying together, and so it is right here, right now.
So it is, and now it is. Thank you, Tom. Right now, even now. All right. Thank you.